You know, there's something profoundly misunderstood about those of us who feel deeply, those who feel everything, yet sometimes feel utterly alone. If you're an empath and you find yourself with few or no friends, I want you to know this is not a weakness. This is not a failing. This is proof of your depth, your purity, and your commitment to authenticity in a world that often values noise over truth. Empaths are not built for small talk or shallow connections. You are tuned to frequencies that most people can't even hear. You feel energies, emotions, and intentions that others wouldn't notice if their life depended on it. And yes, that sensitivity sometimes scares people away. But that's a gift, not a curse. It means you are walking with awareness, with presence, with the divine ability to see beneath the surface. Your standards are high, and they should be. You know what true connection feels like, and you refuse to settle for anything less. That choice, that inner boundary, is why you might feel alone at times. But solitude is your sanctuary. In the silent, you grow. In the quiet, your spirit learns to shine. And here's the secret. The universe aligns with those who respect themselves enough to walk away from the unworthy, from the draining, from the superficial. Yes, it is exhausting to absorb the pain and negativity of others. You carry burdens that aren't yours, but that capacity to love deeply, to feel fully, to empathize beyond reason, that is your superpower. And even when the world doesn't understand, even when friendships fail to match the depth of your heart, remember, your soul is not broken. It is just unmatched. Many empaths fear betrayal. Many keep their hearts guarded because they've been hurt before. And that fear is not weakness, it's wisdom. It is the inner compass guiding you to the right souls, the right energies, the people who will honor your depth rather than exploit it. Trust that process. Every soul that leaves is clearing space for those who truly belong in your life. And finally, remember this. Your solitude is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is divine alignment. It is the universe's way of giving you the space to hear your own heart, to sharpen your intuition, and to cultivate the wisdom that only comes to those who truly walk the path of feeling. You are learning to walk through life with eyes wide open, to hold love without compromise, and to shine even when no one applauds. So embrace this. Celebrate it. Your few friendships, your solitude, your selective heart, these are not shortcomings. They are signs of a soul operating on a higher frequency, a soul learning to love, give, and exist authentically in a world that often cannot understand it. One day, those who are meant to walk with you will arrive. Until then, honor yourself, trust your intuition, and know this, being deeply felt is your greatest strength, even when the world feels lonely. Empaths are people who experience the world differently than most. Their sensitivity is not just emotional, it is energetic. They can walk in to a room and immediately sense the collective mood, the underlying tension, or even the unspoken joys of those around them. This deep sensitivity to energy is both a blessing and a challenge. Unlike most people who interact on a surface level, empaths process the emotional undercurrents that are invisible to others. When someone is upset but smiling, an empath feels the sadness behind the smile. When someone is anxious, their body might react before the person even speaks, and the empath intuitively picks up on that. This ability allows empaths to connect deeply with others, but it also makes ordinary social interactions overwhelming. While a casual conversation for most is effortless, for an empath, it can be draining because they are not only absorbing their own feelings, but also the feelings of everyone around them. This sensitivity to energy means that empaths cannot filter emotional input easily. They act almost like emotional sponges, unconsciously taking on the moods, stress, and even physical discomfort of those near them. If a coworker is anxious about a project, an empath might start to feel that anxiety creeping into their own body, even if their own tasks are going perfectly well. If someone in a cafe is sad, an empath may experience a subtle heaviness without any words being exchanged. Over time, this can accumulate, and empaths often need intentional solitude to recalibrate and release the energies they have absorbed. Without this conscious effort, they may feel exhausted, irritable, or emotionally unbalanced. What makes this sensitivity especially profound is that empaths often do not merely observe these energies, they respond to them in ways that are intuitive and heartfelt. They may offer comfort before anyone asks, feel compelled to mediate tension, or instinctively act to uplift others. Their presence has a transformative effect on those around them because they do not just respond to what is said, but to what is truly felt. Yet this same depth can make casual friendships or social gatherings taxing. When everyone else leaves the room with no residual emotional weight, an empath might carry the entire emotional residue with them. The world moves quickly, but an empath experiences it in a much slower, deeper rhythm, processing layers of unspoken emotion that can feel invisible to everyone else. This hyper-awareness also impacts how empaths choose their relationships. Because they sense everything so acutely, they are naturally selective about who they allow into their inner circle. They can feel in an instant whether someone is authentic, manipulative, or draining. Small talk and superficial interactions often feel hollow because they cannot ignore the energy behind the words. As a result, empaths may appear distant or reserved, because they are unfriendly, but because the constant energy absorption makes casual connection exhausting. They must protect their emotional space or risk becoming overwhelmed by the world. Furthermore, this sensitivity to energy gives empaths an extraordinary capacity for insight and compassion. They can understand people in ways others cannot, seeing motivations, fears, and desires that ain't hidden to most. This ability allows them to provide guidance, support, and love that is profound and transformative. Yet it also carries responsibility. The empath must learn to distinguish between energies they need to absorb and those they must release, between compassion and overextension. Without conscious boundaries, their gift can become a burden, leaving them isolated, misunderstood, are emotionally depleted. Ultimately, the empath's deep sensitivity to energy shapes every aspect of their life. It dictates how they interact, whom they trust, and how they process the world. It makes them intuitive, caring, and profoundly connected to life, yet also vulnerable to exhaustion and misunderstanding. Their experience is a delicate balance between embracing the depth of feeling and maintaining the boundaries necessary to survive in a world that does not always honor their perception. This sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a superpower, a lens through which they perceive life in its richest and most complex form. Empaths are naturally drawn to authenticity in every aspect of their lives, and this extends most powerfully to their relationships. They do not seek friendship for mere convenience or casual companionship. Instead, they crave connection that resonates on a deeper level, one that aligns with their values, their inner world, and their understanding of truth. This means that empaths inherently set high standards for the people they allow into their lives. They are not content with superficial interactions or fleeting acquaintances because those encounters fail to feed the depth of their soul. To an empath, every interaction carries weight. Every connection matters. As a result, their circle of friends may be smaller, but it is composed of individuals who truly resonate with them and understand the emotional landscapes they navigate. These high standards are not born from arrogance or elitism. They are a reflection of the empath's profound understanding of themselves and the world around them. Having felt so deeply from a young age, empaths are acutely aware of how draining or harmful it can be to invest in relationships that are unbalanced or lacking sincerity. They recognize the energy exchange in every connection. They can sense when someone is only present for personal gain or when their words are hollow, and these intuitions are rarely wrong. Consequently, empaths often decline invitations, distance themselves from social circles, or appear aloof to those who do not meet their standards. This selectivity is an act of self-preservation as much as it is a pursuit of meaningful connection. An empath's high standards often extend beyond surface-level traits. They seek emotional maturity, honesty, and the ability to engage in deep conversatio. They value vulnerability, the courage to face uncomfortable truths, and the capacity for empathy and compassion in return. These qualities are essential because empaths intuitively know that true connection is reciprocal. It is not enough for them to give. They need relationships where energy flows both ways. Without this balance, empaths can feel depleted, as if their generosity and sensitivity, thank you, are taken for granted. This explains why they often appear cautious or slow to open up. They are not shy. They are deliberate. They are protecting themselves from relationships that may promise comfort but deliver emotional exhaustion. The world, however, is rarely designed to cater to such sensitivity and selectivity. Many social interactions are transactional, casual, or performative, leaving empaths feeling disconnected or misunderstood. They may watch others form friendships effortlessly while they remain on the sidelines, misunderstood as distant or difficult. Yet this perception misses the truth. Empaths are not avoiding connection. They are waiting for alignment. They are waiting for souls that match their depth, those who can engage authentically and honor their sensitivity. This patience, while challenging in a society that prizes speed and quantity over quality, is essential for maintaining emotional integrity and well-being. High standards also empower empaths to develop discernment over time. Every interaction becomes a lesson, every friendship a mirror reflecting compatibility, energy, and emotional resonance. They learn to recognize patterns, to understand who enhance their life and who drains it. This ability to choose wisely is not selfish. It is a divine principle of preservation, a recognition that their energy is sacred and should not be squandered. By holding themselves and others to high standards, empaths cultivate a life rich in meaningful, supportive, and authentic connections. Ultimately, these high standards shape the way empaths experience They may have fewer friends, but those friendships carry depth, trust, and love that can transform both parties. They may face periods of solitude, but in that space, they nurture self-awareness and clarity about what truly matters in relationships. And while the journey of selectivity may seem lonely at times, it ensures that when an empath finally forms a connection, it is profound, life-affirming, and aligned with the higher purpose of emotional truth. Empaths have a remarkable capacity for compassion, understanding, and connection, but this gift often comes with a significant challenge, the tendency to absorb negativity from those around them. Unlike most people who can encounter someone else's stress, anger, or sadness and move on relatively unscathed, empaths internalize these emotions as if they were their own. They feel the world not just externally but internally, taking on the emotional burdens of others in a way that is almost instinctual. When a friend is anxious, an empath doesn't just sympathize, they feel the tension in their own body. When a coworker is frustrated or bitter, the empath absorbs that vibration, often leaving them exhausted, drained, or overwhelmed. This ability to sense and carry others' negativity is one of the reasons many empaths appear cautious in social situations, and why they may find themselves with few close friends. This absorption is not selective in the way most people would hope. Empaths cannot always control whose energy they take on. They might feel the sorrow of a stranger on the street, the anxiety of a loved one, or the resentment of a colleague, and it all blends into their own emotional landscape. The emotional environment of an empath becomes a living, breathing entity, shaped by everyone they interact with. If the energy around them is heavy, they carry it. If the energy is toxic, they absorb it. Over time, this can create a profound sense of fatigue, as if they are living not only their own life, but the emotional experiences of countless others. Without careful management, an empath's natural inclination to help or soothe can leave them depleted, frustrated, or even resentful because they give and give, rarely pausing to replenish their own energy. This absorption of negativity also shapes the way empaths perceive and respond to others. They often have an acute awareness of dishonesty, hidden motives, or emotional manipulation because they feel the emotional energy beneath the surface. But this awareness can make them cautious, guarded, or even mistrustful in forming new relationships. They recognize that not everyone has the same capacity for emotional balance, and they instinctively avoid those who might drain them further. In this way, their ability to absorb negativity, a source of empathy and wisdom, also acts as a protective mechanism. It teaches them discernment, encourages self-preservation, and forces them to seek relationships that are balanced and mutually nourishing rather than one-sided or toxic. At the same time, the act of absorbing negativity can be transformative if managed consciously. Empaths who learn to distinguish between what belongs to them and what belongs to others can use their sensitivity as a tool for growth, healing, and deep insight. They can turn the heavy energies they encounter into lessons, opportunities for compassion, or guides for personal development, but this requires boundaries, rituals, and awareness. Without these, empaths risk carrying the weight of the world alone, feeling misunderstood, and becoming socially isolated. Many empaths retreat from social environments not out of indifference, but to protect themselves from relentless emotional input that others may not even notice exists. The tendency to absorb negativity also explains why empaths often have few friends. Superficial or emotionally unstable friendships can feel unbearable because empaths experience the emotional ripples long after an interaction ends. They gravitate toward those who offer mutual respect, honesty, and emotional balance, and they may distance themselves from those who are inconsistent, manipulative, or draining. This selectivity is not a flaw, it is a reflection of their deep wisdom and understanding of the subtle energies that govern human interaction. By choosing carefully, empaths protect their energy, maintain emotional integrity, and ensure that their capacity for compassion is preserved for those who truly deserve it. Ultimately, the empath's tendency to absorb negativity is both a challenge and a gift. It can create solitude, fatigue, and social caution, but it also fosters profound empathy, insight, and emotional intelligence. Those who learn to navigate this sensitivity with awareness cultivate relationships that are authentic, balanced, and deeply fulfilling. They become beacons of understanding in a world that often overlooks the subtle emotional currents that shape our lives. Their journey may require patience, discernment, and self-care, but it is a path of immense growth, wisdom, and ultimately purpose. Empaths are naturally introspective, and their lives are marked by an extraordinary level of self-reflection. This constant inward focus is not a sign of weakness or insecurity, but rather a reflection of their commitment to understanding themselves and the world around them. While many people may move through life reacting to external circumstances, empaths live with a heightened awareness of their internal states, their motivations, and the energies they encounter. They consistently ask themselves difficult questions. Why do I feel this way? What does this emotion mean? How does this experience align with my purpose? This level of self-reflection allows them to process experiences on a deep level, uncover patterns in their behavior, and develop profound insight into both themselves and others. Self-reflection for empaths is not a casual activity, it is a daily practice that shapes their worldview and interactions. They often pause to analyze conversations, social dynamics, and emotional responses, seeking to understand the root of what they feel and observe. When someone hurts them, an empath may spend hours or even days dissecting the interaction, not to dwell in negativity, but to understand the motivations, lessons, and subtle energies involved. This capacity For introspection helps them grow emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically. It teaches them to recognize their triggers, to establish boundaries, and to cultivate resilience in a world that often does not appreciate their sensitivity. The depth of an empath's self-reflection also fosters a remarkable level of self-awareness. They are acutely aware of their strengths, weaknesses, and unique traits. This awareness allows them to make choices aligned with their true selves rather than conforming to societal expectations or the pressures of others. An empath's internal dialogue is often rich and nuanced, encompassing not only their emotions, but also the ethical and moral dimensions of their actions. They seek to live authentically, to align with their values, and to act with integrity, and self-reflection is the compass that guides them on this path. However, this intense self-reflection can also contribute to solitude. Empaths often prefer time alone to process their thoughts and emotions rather than engaging in constant social interaction. While solitude may be perceived by outsiders as loneliness, for the empath, it is a necessary space for recalibration. It is in these moments of introspection that they gain clarity, strengthen their intuition, and recharge emotionally. Without this solitude, empaths risk becoming overwhelmed by external stimuli and the energies they absorb from others. Their inner world, rich thought and feeling, requires time and care to maintain balance. Self-reflection also equips empaths with a unique perspective on human behavior and relationships. They are able to recognize patterns in themselves and others, understanding how past experiences shape present interactions. This insight allows them to approach life with empathy and discernment, making choices that protect their energy while fostering meaningful connections. Empaths often notice subtleties in behavior, tone, and energy that others overlook, and their reflective nature enables them to interpret these cues with wisdom. Over time, this skill becomes a powerful tool for navigating social dynamics, conflict resolution, and personal growth. Furthermore, self-reflection is closely linked to the empath's spiritual and emotional development. By examining their inner world, they cultivate emotional intelligence, patience, and compassion, both for themselves and others. They learn to release judgment, embrace vulnerability, and align with higher principles of love and understanding. This process is not instantaneous. It requires ongoing effort, honesty, and courage. Yet the rewards are immense, a life lived with intention, clarity, and a profound connection to both self and spirit. In essence, the empath's tendency toward intense self-reflection is a cornerstone of their being. It shapes their decisions, guides their interactions, and deepens their understanding of life. While it may create periods of solitude, it also fosters growth, wisdom, and resilience. Through self-reflection, empaths cultivate a life of authenticity, purpose, and inner alignment, allowing them to navigate the complexities of the world with grace and insight. Their reflective nature is both a gift and a guide, leading them toward meaningful connections, personal empowerment, and a profound sense of self-awareness that ultimately transforms their experience of life. Empaths carry within them an extraordinary capacity or love, understanding, and connection, but this very gift often comes with a shadow, the fear of betrayal or harm. For an empath, trust is not given lightly. It is earned, nurtured, and guarded because they experience the world on a level that exposes them to both incredible joy and profound pain. Every interaction, every bond, every relationship has the potential to deeply impact them, positive, lie, or negatively. When someone breaks their trust, the wound is not superficial. It penetrates to the very core of their being. This awareness of the fragility of human connection makes empaths naturally cautious, even protective of their hearts. The fear of betrayal is not born out of cynicism. It is born from experience and wisdom. Many empaths have, at some point in their lives, extended themselves fully, offering love, support, and understanding, only to encounter deception, manipulation, or ingratitude. These experiences leave a lasting imprint, shaping how they approach new relationships. Empaths do not rush into intimacy or vulnerability because they know the emotional stakes are high. They understand that once their trust is violated, the emotional repercussions can ripple through their entire sense of self, leaving scars that take time to heal. This deep awareness creates a natural caution, a protective layer that helps them navigate the complexities of human interaction. This fear also influences the way empaths evaluate potential friends or partners. They are highly intuitive and sensitive to subtle cues, and their inner compass often signals when someone may not have your best intentions at heart. Because of this, empaths develop a strong sense of discernment, learning to recognize warning signs of betrayal long before overt harm occurs. They pay attention to words, actions, and the consistency between the two, understanding that true character reveals itself in patterns, not isolated moments. While this level of scrutiny may seem extreme to some, it is essential for preserving their emotional well-being and maintaining relationships that are authentic and safe. The consequences of being hurt can also be magnified for empaths because they experience emotions so deeply. A betrayal is not just a breach of trust, it is felt as an internal collapse, a disruption in the harmony they strive to maintain within themselves. Their sensitivity amplifies the pain, making recovery a process that requires reflection, self-care, and sometimes solitude. This is why many empaths choose to limit their social circles or maintain a smaller, tightly knit group of trusted friends. They are selective not out of arrogance, but out of necessity, recognizing that their energy is precious and should be shared with those who honor it. At the same time, the fear of betrayal is balanced by a profound capacity for forgiveness and understanding. Empaths often see the complexity in human behavior and can understand why someone may act out of fear, insecurity, or past trauma. However, they are careful not to compromise their boundaries or emotional safety in the process. Over time, this balance between caution and compassion becomes a guiding principle, allowing them to navigate relationships with both wisdom and grace. This fear also encourages empaths to develop a strong inner foundation. They learn to rely on themselves for validation, security, and strength, rather than depending solely on external relationships. By cultivating resilience, self-awareness, and discernment, empaths can approach new connections with openness without sacrificing their safety. I understand that trust is not about blind faith. It is about observing, sensing, and choosing wisely. Ultimately, the empath's fear of betrayal or harm is a reflection of their depth, sensitivity, and understanding of human nature. It is a mechanism of protection, a guide for discernment, and a call to cultivate relationships that are genuine, reciprocal, and aligned with their values. While it may lead to periods of caution or solitude, it also ensures that when empaths do allow others into their hearts, the connections are profound, authentic, and life-affirming. This fear, tempered by wisdom and self-awareness, becomes a cornerstone of the empath's ability to navigate the world with clarity, purpose, and integrity. Empaths possess a remarkable capacity for compassion, often giving more than they receive. And this generosity of spirit shapes much of their experience in the world. Their hearts are wired to care, to nurture, and to respond to the suffering of others. They do not simply notice when someone is in pain. They feel it deeply, almost as if it were their own. This profound ability to empathize enables them to connect on a level that few people can, offering support, understanding, and love with a sincerity that is transformative. Yet this very quality can also create challenges because their compassion is not always reciprocated. Many empaths find themselves in relationships where their giving nature is one-sided. They offer time, energy, emotional support, and understanding, often expecting little in return, yet they may encounter people who take their generosity thank you for granted. This can be profoundly disheartening, leaving empaths feeling drained, undervalued, and at times isolated. Because they operate from a place of deep feeling, they are highly sensitive to imbalance. When their kindness is not met with authenticity, appreciation, or mutual effort, it creates a sense of emptiness that can be difficult to reconcile. They may continue giving, hoping the energy will be returned, but over time, the repeated lack of reciprocity can take a toll on their spirit. This strong compassion is part of what makes empaths such extraordinary individuals, yet it also explains why they often have few friends or experience loneliness. Unlike others who might tolerate superficial interactions, empaths seek meaningful, heartfelt connections. They are drawn to people who reflect the same level of care and understanding that they offer. When this level of connection is absent, empaths naturally distance themselves, either consciously or subconsciously, to protect their energy. It is not that they are unwilling to form relationships, but rather that they recognize the necessity of preserving their emotional integrity. The presence of those who drain rather than nurture can have a profound negative impact, leaving empaths depleted and struggling to maintain their own emotional balance. At the same time, this compassion is a reflection of an empath's spiritual and emotional depth. They operate from an understanding that every individual has their own struggles, their own wounds, and their own journey. This perspective allows them to forgive, to offer patience, and to remain loving even in the face of misunderstanding or ingratitude. However, the empath must learn the critical lesson of discernment. Love and care should be shared with those who are capable of honoring it, not indiscriminately given at the expense of their own well-being. Setting boundaries becomes essential for sustaining their emotional health, ensuring that their generosity continues to be a source of empowerment rather than exhaustion. This dynamic also shapes the way empaths navigate social interactions. They often intuitively sense when someone requires emotional support and will step in without being asked, offering guidance, comfort, or simply a listening ear. Their presence can be transformative, providing a sense of calm and understanding to those who are yelling. Yet, this capacity to give so deeply can make them vulnerable to manipulation, as some individuals may exploit their empathy for personal gain. Recognizing this risk encourages empaths to cultivate discernment, ensuring that their compassion benefits both themselves and those they choose to serve. Ultimately, the empath's strong compassion, even when unreciprocated, is not a flaw, but a divine gift. It reflects their ability to love beyond superficiality, to nurture without expectation, and to perceive the humanity in every individual. While it may occasionally leave them feeling alone or underappreciated, it also prepares them for the kind of deep, meaningful relationships that few ever experience. The key for empaths lies in balancing this immense generosity with wisdom, boundaries, and self-care, allowing them to continue giving while preserving their energy and emotional well-being. When they master this balance, their compassion becomes a source of true empowerment, transforming not only the lives of those around them, but also their own journey toward fulfillment and purpose. Empaths are guided not only by their feelings, but by an inner compass that reflects their unique connection to intuition, wisdom, and often a sense of the divine. This inner guidance is a defining trait of empaths, shaping how they perceive the world, make decisions, and navigate relationships. Unlike many people who rely primarily on external validation or the opinions of others, empaths have a deep trust in their own perceptions. They are constantly attuned to subtle energies, emotional undercurrents, and spiritual cues that most people overlook. This attunement allows them to move through life with a heightened awareness, sensing not only what is present, but what is authentic, necessary, and aligned with their higher purpose. This reliance on inner guidance often creates a sense of independence. Empaths are less concerned with fitting into societal norms or meeting the expectations of others because they are focused on aligning with their truth. They seek paths and relationships that resonate deeply with their inner knowing rather than those dictated by external pressures or popularity. While this can sometimes make them appear solitary or even aloof, it is a reflection of their commitment. Key to living authentically. They understand that the quality of their life and relationships depends on alignment with their inner wisdom, not the validation of the crowd. Because empaths rely so heavily on their inner guidance, they are highly selective about the people they allow into their lives. They instinctively sense energy and authenticity in others and can detect when someone is misaligned with their values or intentions. This discernment often leads them to maintain smaller social circles, but those connections are meaningful, intentional, and mutually enriching. Empaths are not drawn to shallow relationships or superficial interactions because these experiences clash with their natural sense of integrity. Instead, they gravitate toward those who reflect authenticity, understanding, energy, and emotional depth, forming bonds that are deeply sustaining. The reliance on inner guidance also strengthens an empath's resilience, because they navigate life with trust in themselves rather than dependency on external approval. They are less easily shaken by criticism, betrayal, or social pressure. They develop a strong sense of self that allows them to weather the challenges of human interaction with grace and composure. This self-trust is not born overnight. It is cultivated through years of reflection, observation, and learning from experiences where external voices failed to provide clarity or truth. Over time, empaths learn that their inner compass is the most reliable guide they have, offering insight that surpasses logic or surface appearances. However, this reliance on inner guidance can also contribute to periods of isolation. Since empaths are finely tuned to subtle energies and internal truths, they often perceive imbalances, dishonesty, or superficiality that others do not notice. This heightened perception can make social environments overwhelming or exhausting, leading them to seek solitude as a necessary space for recalibration. In these moments of reflecting on, empaths reconnect with their inner voice, release absorbed energies, and gain clarity about the people and situations that truly serve their well-being. Solitude is not emptiness for an empath. It is a sacred space where intuition and insight are strengthened, preparing them to re-engage with the world from a place of centeredness and alignment. Their inner guidance also enhances their sense of purpose. Empaths are naturally drawn to meaningful pursuits, whether in relationships, careers, or creative endeavors. They are often motivated by a desire to contribute, heal, or uplift others, but they do so with awareness, ensuring that their efforts are directed in alignment with their values and capacities. They recognize that their energy is sacred and finite, and they make conscious choices about where to invest it, trusting that the universe will guide them toward the connections and opportunities that are right for them. Ultimately, an empath's reliance on their inner guidance is both a protective and empowering force. It allows them to navigate a complex and often overwhelming world with discernment, clarity, and purpose. While it may set them apart from the masses and create periods of solitude, it also ensures that the life they build and the relationships they cultivate are aligned with truth, authenticity, and deeper meaning. Their inner guidance is not merely intuition. It is a form of wisdom that shapes every decision, interaction, and choice, allowing empaths to move through life with confidence, integrity, and a profound sense of alignment with their higher self and purpose. Thank you for trusting me with your time and energy. I truly appreciate the opportunity to share this journey with you. Wishing you clarity, strength, and inspiration. Goodbye, and may your path always align with your highest purpose.